artists. Welcome back, second graders. I am so happy to continue one of my favorite projects with you. Let's get started. We are learning about the element of art line using the fabulous artist, Mrs. Sandra Silberzweig. And she often makes art of fish and uses a great variety of lines when she's making fish. Look at all these lines she used to draw her fish and all the lines she used in the background behind her fish. So interesting. So today we're going to learn about lines in Mrs. Silberzweig. We're going to draw lines with Mrs. Gordon. We're going to think, reflect, and record. You will need a black crayon or marker and your art from last week. There are 7 elements of art: line, shape, form, space, color, value, and texture. And artists use these elements to make their art. And we are using line to make our art in this first project, or second project actually. One way that artists can make art is with lines. They can draw lines, paint lines, or glue lines, or paper to make lines. There are lots of different ways that they can make lines and lots of different lines that they can make. And we practiced these lines last week in our art journal, and we practiced making these lines. You can review, when you get to the slides, you can play this video and review the lines that you, just for fun, or to review what you know about lines. This is Miss Sandra Silberzweig, and remember, she's a contemporary painter. That means she's living and making art right now. She lives in Toronto, Canada, and she has that synesthesia, which I talked to you about last week. And this is Citrine Coralfish by Sandra Silberzweig. And today I want you to look closer at the background. That's the part of the art behind and around the fish. Do you see one type of line or a variety of lines? What do these lines remind you of? And are the lines floating or connected? So I see a lot of different kinds of lines. I see curved lines and wavy lines and zigzag lines and straight lines and diagonal lines and dotted lines. And these lines remind me of like seaweed or coral that the fish are swimming in front of. And in terms of, are these lines floating or connected? These lines are connected or anchored. You'll see that the lines connect either to another line or to the edge of her paper. Okay, so even this one right here, this kind of bumpy, spiky line connects back to the line. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So if you're ready to add some lines to your art, you're going to need something to draw black lines with, like a black crayon or a marker, and you will also need your art from last week. And then you will go to the next slide and you will watch this video of Mrs. Gordon adding lines to my background, and you can work along with me. Remember, your art does not have to look like my art. It should look like your art. And you're going to use a lot of different kinds of lines, and your line should go different directions too. So not all of your lines will go up and down or vertical. Not all of your lines will go side to side or horizontal, and not all of your lines will go diagonal disco. So you'll watch that. Remember, as you're watching, you can pause as often as you like to get yourself caught up. And when you are done, you will have a piece of art with your fish on it, and your background will be filled with a variety of different kinds of lines, some horizontal, some vertical, some diagonal. When you are done, you want to think about these questions. What element of art did you learn about? That'll be an easy one to answer because there's a drop-down menu and you'll select the one that makes sense to you. What did you learn about art or the artist? And so you might, maybe you remembered this week about horizontal, vertical, and diagonal. Okay, and so you might say, I learned about lines. Not good enough. I learned about horizontal lines. Better, but still not good enough. I learned that horizontal lines go side to side. That would be a great thing if you learned or remembered. And then how did you make your art? So remember, there are kind of 3 parts of this. What did you draw or make? How did you do it? Did you draw? Did you paint? And then what did you use to draw or paint? So for example, if I were drawing, or if I were painting a picture of apples and I was using watercolor paint and a brush, I might say I painted a basket of apples on a piece of paper using a brush and watercolor paint and water. So I would explain what I did. When you're done, you're going to click here to record your answer when you're on that slide. Next week, we will review what we learned this week. We'll also be talking a little bit about color, and you will need colored pencils or crayons or something to add color to your work and your art from this week. Remember, if you want to share it with me, you can have your parents help you share it to Schoology, or you could, if your parents are on Twitter or Instagram, they can share it with me that way. I'm so excited to see what you did this week. Now you're ready to go to the next link and click on the slides and start going through and watch the video of Mrs. Gordon adding lines to my background. Have a great week, friends. Can't wait to see you later.